Playing defense in the NFL just got 50 times harder. League owners have approved banning the swivel hit drop tackle. This tackle has a pretty high injury rate. We saw Mark Andrews miss the majority of last year because of this tackle. College quarterback for Florida State, Jordan Travis, also had his season cut short due to suffering the fate of this tackle, or suffering to the fate of this tackle. All I'm trying to say is that the hit drop tackle has been officially outlawed in the National Football League. Many people are upset about this. They're saying, how can these guys play defense anymore? Now you can't even cover guys as a defensive back. You can't hit nobody high. And now you're banning a tackle that was really beneficial for smaller defensive players who are trying to tackle guys who are 30, 40 pounds bigger than them, such as Derrick Henry and whatnot. And this is a really hard discussion to have because there's many different angles that you can look at this from. You can look at the player safety aspect of it, saying that, well, you think about the injury Mark Andrews suffered, Jordan Travis suffered, Patrick Mahomes got injured due to this tackle, and it definitely is a huge safety risk. Football is a contact sport. We know that when you play this sport, there's always a high chance of you getting injured. But there is ways to make this sport safer. Yes, this is aggressive and a super violent sport, but that doesn't mean that there aren't certain rules that we can change to ensure that players are better protected while playing this sport. But at the same time, though, what you have to understand is that if you are a defensive player and you're trying to make a play, you're not thinking about how you're going to tackle a guy. If you ever play football, you know that a lot of the stuff that you do is just instinctual. It's pretty much, you're not really thinking too much when you're on the football field. You're just reacting. For these defensive players, if you never played football before, you may think that it's easy for you not to execute a hit drop tackle just to try to find a different way to tackle. But if you are actually in the game in the heat of the moment, do you know how fast plays in the NFL play out? A single play in the NFL may only be 7-8 seconds. You have 2 to 3 seconds at most to make a decision on what you're going to do. And oftentimes you're not thinking, maybe I shouldn't tackle this guy this way because I don't want him to get hurt. You're just going. Now that you add this ban and you outlaw this tackle and you throw on the 15-yard penalty if it occurs during the game, these defensive players, they're now at a bigger disadvantage. There's going to be more missed tackles next season because they're going to be adjusting to this rule. A hit drop tackle isn't one of those tackles that they teach you in Pop Warner or middle school. It's one of those tackles that you kind of learn how to execute it as you keep on playing football. The older you get and the more you start to grow into the game. Around high school, college ball is probably when you start seeing this tackle executed and carried out a lot more, because in middle school and Pop Warner, I never saw somebody try to hit drop tackle me. You may have somebody who tried to, maybe trip me and tackle me that way, but I never dealt with the hit drop tackle until I got into high school and the later stages of my playing career. Banning the hit drop tackle definitely is something that had to happen. It isn't something that a lot of us are in favor of, but with all the injuries that this tackle has caused, it definitely is better off to just leave it out of the game versus keeping it in the game and making more injuries become more frequent due to this tackle. It seems like nearly any player that ends up getting tackled by this way or this method ends up having a significant injury. And as I said earlier, yes, football is a violent sport, and you can only go so far to make this game as safe as possible without watering down your product. But you also have to realize that there is no football if you aren't going to have any healthy players. These teams, they probably feel the same way as you do when it comes to banning this rule. Some of them do. Some of them probably feel like it was bullshit to ban this tackle. But I'm pretty confident that a good majority of coaches and owners feel strongly that banning this tackle is what's best for the game. The NFL is only growing in popularity. Every single Super Bowl that comes on every single year does record-breaking numbers. Banning this tackle isn't going to affect the popularity of the sport. I don't think it's going to water down football so much to the point where we could potentially be watching the National Flag Football League in 3 to 4 years from now. I don't think that's going to happen. They have banned this tackle just like how they banned the horse collar tackle, and they banned all kinds of other different tackles that were legal in previous decades that now are outlawed. And the game still has maintained this popularity, is only getting more popular by the day. But this definitely is something that I believe had to happen. Did I want it to happen? Not necessarily. I don't know if that's a bad or good thing, but me personally, I feel like no matter how many tackles you try to outlaw, how safe you try to make this game, you're still going to have a high frequency of injuries just because this is a contact sport. It's a gladiator sport. And what's even more confusing to me is that they put all this emphasis on player safety, but yet they feel like it's smarter and it's in the best interest of the players to go from a 17-game regular season to 18 games and potentially still only have one bye week for every team. That doesn't seem like ensuring player safety when you're adding on an additional game, another game that, you know, these players put those pads on and they could risk suffering a major injury. I just don't understand the NFL and how they go about ensuring player safety. Does it piss you off how much you pay for your monthly phone bill? Why are you getting frustrated when our partner Mint Mobile has plans as low as $15 a month that give you unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network? Stop getting frustrated with how much you spend on your monthly phone bill and go to trymintmobile.com/JTSports in description and pin comment down below to get access to premium wireless for only $15 a month. That's only $15 a month. Switching to Mint is easy. It only takes 15 minutes to do. If you're pissed off with how much you pay for your monthly phone bill, switch to Mint Mobile today and go to trymintmobile.com/JTSports in description and pin comment down below to get premium wireless for only $15 a month. Stop getting upset with how much you spend on your monthly phone bill and switch to Mint Mobile today. But yet, they're so inconsistent at doing it. If you want to make sure that these players are safer, how about not making more games? You can say it's in the best interest of the league, but is it really? Is it really in the best interest of the long-term health of these players playing in an 18-game, potentially 20-something game season if you include the postseason? I don't think that's making the game safer. So if you're going to ban the hit drop tackle, how about we lower the number of regular season games that we have? But no, nobody wants to do that though because of money, which goes into the next reason why this is such a big reason why they had to ban this tackle. Think about quarterbacks who have gotten injured because of this play. We saw Jordan Travis missed the rest of Florida State season. It was the reason why they missed the playoffs last year, because he got injured due to this play getting rolled up on and it bent his knee awkwardly. Patrick Mahomes, when they played the Jacksonville Jaguars in the postseason a while back, he ended up getting tackled by this hit drop tackle and he got his ankle rolled up on. So this tackle is not being banned for just no reason. It's not because the game is going soft, but with the amount of injuries that this tackle has caused, and this tackle, when it's carried out, has a 25% chance of injuring a player. Out of all the tackles in the NFL, this one itself has the highest amount of injuries. And of course, with this being a aggressive sport, you know injuries are a part of the game. But if you have a tackle that just creates so many injuries and is so problematic, it just makes a ton of sense to ban it. Just get rid of it altogether. The players on defense are going to adjust. All right, are they going to be able to adjust to this change right away? No, they're not. But over time, you will start to see more and more players better adapt to not being able to use the hit drop tackle. It's a tackle that I feel is only useful when you're a smaller player at a major disadvantage when it comes to the guy you're tackling just being so much bigger than you. Like if you are a 5'10", 175-pound cornerback, and Derrick Henry gets into the open field, how the hell are you going to try to tackle this guy? You're not going to try to tackle Derrick Henry up high. Are you crazy? You're going to get your ass laid out, and you're going to end up in a hospital room. The only possible way to tackle a dude as massive as Derrick Henry when you're at a big size disadvantage is by going low. And when you go low, you know, you kind of tend to add a little bit more force to try to bring a guy like Derrick Henry down, which may involve you having to twist your body around, maybe trying to execute the hit drop tackle, which is why this tackle is so effective, because it is more effective at bringing down bigger ball carriers. You take this tackle out of the game, do you not know how hard it's going to be to get guys like Anthony Richardson, DK Metcalf down now? There are going to be so many broken tackles in the league this year that we may see an all-time high in broken tackles for a regular season in the National Football League. This is a tackle that I don't see used like very, very often. But there are weeks where you definitely see when this tackle is executed, it definitely has a devastating effect. So the NFL banning this for player safety makes sense, but the idea of expanding the regular season to 18 games when we just went from 16 to 17 and potentially 17 to 18 is promoting and ensuring player safety and health also doesn't make too much sense to me. But the owners have approved of this. Obviously, you don't want to see any of your star players miss a large portion of the season because they get tackled this way that just got outlawed. And for all the people that are upset and riled up about this tackle getting banned, I mean, like, it's understandable, especially if you are a defensive player. But how many of these players would feel the same way about this tackle being banned if they ended up having their season cut short and they missed out on the contract extension because of it, or they end up having their star quarterback get injured and he misses a large portion of the season because he gets tackled by this hit drop tackle? You know, it's only so much outrage when it doesn't happen to you. When it happens to you, though, or your team has one of your best players go down because of this injury, then you're saying we need to ban it. You know, do I feel like the NFL is starting to become softer than what it ever has been? Yes, I do. But I do believe that the game of football is a lot safer now than what it was back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Like, it always makes me laugh when I see people comment, oh, the NFL ain't what it used to be, man. I miss when they used to be able to hit somebody. Yeah, used to be able to hit somebody, and then you were getting your head knocked around for 10 decades with, you know, tackles that weren't the safest and end up causing millions of former players CTE. And it cost the NFL millions and billions of dollars in lawsuit having to settle those cases. The safer you make the game, the less lawsuits that the NFL has to deal with. The less you have to worry about your star player missing significant time if he gets tackled this way. That's why I say, like, I'm not completely against banning this, only because I know that, God forbid, Najee Harris or Jaylen Warren got tackled by a hit drop tackle and they had their season cut short. I would be upset. I would be pissed off too. So would you if you had a favorite player on your team that was a major part to your team's success and he got injured due to this hit drop tackle. The outrage is only because it hasn't impacted you or the team that you root for. But for these players such as Kenyon Drake, who went on X and voiced his agreement with the NFL's decision to ban this tackle. He said, yeah, like, for the players who never had to deal with getting a hit drop tackle, never got injured because of it, kudos to you. But there are a lot of players that this tackle drastically altered their careers. Drastically. Like, you think about Jordan Travis, he may not ever be the same after that hit drop tackle that ruined his season, that effed up his leg. You think about what happened to Mark Andrews last year. If he never would have got injured and he played the whole entire regular season, the Ravens not only still would have had the #1 seed, but they possibly could have had one of the best teams in the whole entire NFL once they got to the playoffs against Kansas City. Because when Mark Andrews came back, he was a little rusty. He didn't play for a while. Yeah, he was practicing, but when you miss that big amount of time due to an injury, especially when it came from this hit drop tackle, it definitely is something that if you're the owner of the Baltimore Ravens or you're the head coach, John Harbaugh, you're definitely going to the league ownership meetings and you're saying, we have to do something about this. We don't want to keep losing our best players because of this. So this is my thoughts on the NFL banning or outlawing the hit drop tackle. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment section below.